Let's sew these shorts with Simplicity 8865. This pattern has only 3 pieces, number 25 for the waistband, which you only need 1 cut of, number 31, you're going to cut 2, and number 30, which you'll also cut 2. I'm also using a cotton fabric. First, we're going to sew the center front seam at 1/4 of an inch. Next, you're going to clip your curves very carefully to the stitch line, but not through it. The next part of the pattern we're going to work with is the back piece. If you note here, there is a dart. What I like to do with the darts, I like to cut them out and then mark my fabric piece. With this one, I will use a piece of chalk to mark it. Now I'm working on the wrong side of my fabric, so I'm going to pinch it together, make sure the legs of my darts are matching, and pin it. Here you can see they're both pinned, and the pins are going right through the legs of my dart marked in chalk. When sewing darts, I really like to position the end of my dart in line with my needle. That makes it easier to sew because you're just sewing in a straight line. When I'm finished with my dart, I like to make a knot right at the end of that dart, and then you'll open it and press it to the side that has the seam on it. At this point, what we have is our front, because we already sewed up the center front seam, and I went ahead and pressed my seams open. And we also have our 2 back pieces with the darts already sewn in and pressed. Our next step is we are going to sew this back piece to the front. So we'll position it like this and pin, and we'll do the same to the other side. After it's pinned, you'll sew each side at 1/4 of an inch. Once we've sewn the side seams together, we're going to press our seams to one side like so. We're going to press it over to this side where you have that little notch. Now this next step is not in the instructions. However, I really love to add top stitching to my shorts, my jeans, or anything that I sew for my dolls, because I like them to look as realistic as much as possible. So where you sewed the back and the front pieces together, you can put it under your sewing machine, and this is optional. You can skip this part if you like. Now I will sew very close to that seam, but right next to it. So it'll give it a nice little top stitching right over it. Now we're going to press up our hem 1/4 inch. This is what my shorts looks like now that it's pressed at the hem. If you'd like, you can leave it like this and just go ahead and sew it. And I would say sew it closer to this raw edge. Or if you'd also like, and this part is optional, you can add some trim to the edge and sew that on. Now this rickrack is called Baby Rickrack, and it's from Wright's, and I found this at Joann's. So I'm going to add these to my shorts for a little flair. Here's where I'm going to deviate from the instructions because it makes more sense to me to sew the waistband on before we close up our pants pattern. So what we're going to do with our waistband is we're going to press it together, wrong sides together. Our right side is going to be out. So give that a nice press. After you've pressed it, you will pin it to your waistband of your pants and sew it at 1/4 inch. Here it is pinned, and I also opened up my center seam because I'm going to sew that flat. So now we stitch 1/4 inch here. Once you've sewn the waistband to your shorts, give it a nice little press right here. Now that it's folded over, we are going to stitch in the ditch, which means basically that we are going to stitch right where we stitched together our waistband and our shorts. So your placement of the needle will be right in between that fabric. And this part you can go slow, but if you go over it, don't worry about it. What I'm doing here is I'm watching that little notch in my presser foot, and my waistband that was sewn in is right next to it, and that's how I can easily stitch in the ditch. Here's what it looks like from the back. So I had finished my seam from the waistband with my serger, and this way I have a clean finish. My waistband is sewn down, and it's going to look nice from the front. This is what my shorts looks like right now. So our next step, we're going to take right sides together. This is the back side of the shorts. This is number 31. So from here, we are going to sew at 1/4 of an inch, starting from right here up to this circle. You'll need to mark that on your fabric, and then we're going to pivot straight across. Here's that circle. So I'm going to sew from here to the circle and then pivot and sew straight across. Now we're going to stitch towards that circle we marked, but don't stitch through it. I hope you can see that clearly, but there's my circle and my stitches are still intact, and I just put a V through it. I'm also going to clip the curve right here very carefully. Okay. At this point, our pants are like this right now, since this is what we've been working on. We are going to pull it open, and those two pieces here where we have these little V's, we're going to pin them together as best we can, and then we're going to sew across. That is going to create your leg openings for your shorts. So I would suggest that you pull it as straight as possible, pin it, and then sew at 1/4 of an inch a couple of times across to really reinforce it. Here are your little shorts. They look so cute. Now all we have to do is try it on and place our Velcro or snap. Here is the final look on my doll. I love these shorts. They came out so cute. And in the back, I put a sew-in snap, and I really cinched in the waist since there was quite a bit extra overlapping fabric. It probably ends right here, but the fit is so cute. So anyway, I hope you really enjoy making these. These were fun. I think they're a bit on the easier side. And thank you so much for watching my video. Until next time.